34am, discovered that my wife Rachel, 32F, had been having an affair for 3 months. When I confronted her, she claimed she was tricked into it by lies the other man told her about me. Now she's saying I'm being unreasonable for still being angry because she was manipulated and is the real victim here. We've been married for 8 years and have 2 kids, 6M for F. I thought we had a solid marriage. We communicated well, had regular date nights, and rarely fought about anything serious. Rachel works as a nurse, and I'm an accountant. We both work full-time, but share household duties pretty equally. About 6 months ago, Rachel started a new job at a different hospital. She seemed happy there and would often mention her coworkers, including a doctor named Marcus, 38M, who was really funny and so easy to talk to. I didn't think much of it at first. Rachel has always been social, and it's normal for her to make friends at work. But over the past few months, she started mentioning Marcus more frequently and began working late shifts that seemed to coincide with his schedule. She also became more secretive with her phone and started going out for work drinks with colleagues more often. When I asked about these events, she'd give vague answers about team building and networking. 2 weeks ago, I discovered the affair in the worst possible way. Rachel left her phone on the kitchen counter while she was in the shower, and it kept buzzing with text notifications. I normally wouldn't look, but the frequency was unusual, and I was worried it might be an emergency from the hospital. The messages were from Marcus, and they were definitely not work-related. The most recent one said, "Can't wait to see you tonight. Hotel room is booked under my name like usual." I scrolled up and found months of explicit messages, plans for secret meetings, and conversations about how they needed to be careful so I wouldn't find out. When Rachel got out of the shower, I confronted her with the phone. She immediately broke down, crying, and admitted to the affair, but then she said something that completely threw me off. Rachel claimed that Marcus had been telling her lies about me for months, and that she only started the affair because she believed I was being unfaithful to her. According to Rachel, Marcus told her that he'd seen me at restaurants and bars with other women, and that other people at the hospital were talking about my affairs. She said Marcus convinced her that I was cheating and that she deserved better treatment. Rachel said that Marcus positioned himself as someone who truly cared about her and would treat her the way she deserved. She claimed that the affair was revenge for my supposed infidelity and that she never would have done it if she hadn't believed I was cheating first. She begged me to understand that she was manipulated and that Marcus was the real villain in this situation. She said she felt stupid for believing his lies and that she realized now that he was just trying to break up our marriage so he could have her. Here's the thing. I have never cheated on Rachel. Not even close. I work long hours during tax season, but I've never been secretive about where I am or who I'm with. Rachel has access to all my accounts and could easily verify my whereabouts on any given day. I told Rachel that her story didn't make sense because she could have simply asked me about Marcus's claims instead of having an affair. If she really believed I was cheating, why wouldn't she confront me directly? Rachel said she was too hurt to confront me and that Marcus convinced her that cheaters always lie when confronted. She said she thought gathering evidence through the affair would somehow prove that I was unfaithful to her. This explanation makes no sense to me. Even if she believed I was cheating, which she had no real reason to, having an affair in response is not the solution. She should have talked to me, suggested counseling, or even left the marriage if she truly believed I was unfaithful. I'm also suspicious because the text messages I saw showed Rachel actively pursuing the relationship with Marcus, not someone being reluctantly manipulated into an affair. When I pointed this out, Rachel said that Marcus was very convincing and that she was in a vulnerable emotional state because of his lies about me. Now Rachel is saying that I'm being unfair by staying angry at her when she was the one who was manipulated and lied to. She says that Marcus destroyed our marriage by lying to both of us, and that we should be working together to rebuild our relationship instead of me punishing her for being a victim. She's also saying that my continued anger proves that I don't really love her, because if I truly loved her, I would understand that she was tricked and would focus on healing our marriage instead of blaming her. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Yes, if Marcus really did lie to Rachel about me, that was wrong of him. But Rachel still chose to have an affair instead of talking to me. She chose to sneak around for 3 months instead of addressing her concerns about our marriage. Rachel is acting like she had no choice and no agency in this situation, but she made dozens of individual decisions that led to the affair. She chose to believe Marcus over her own husband. She chose to meet him at hotels. She chose to lie to me about working late. Am I being unreasonable for still being angry? Should I be more understanding because Rachel claims she was manipulated? Or is she trying to avoid responsibility for her choices by blaming everything on Marcus? Update 3 days later. Thank you to everyone who responded to my original post. The overwhelming consensus was that Rachel's explanation didn't excuse her choices, which helped validate my feelings about this situation. I've had several more conversations with Rachel since my original post, and I've learned some things that make this situation even more complicated than I initially described. First, I decided to verify Rachel's story about Marcus lying to her. I contacted the hospital where they both work and spoke with the HR department about my concerns. Obviously, I couldn't get detailed information about their employees, but I was able to speak with Rachel's supervisor about the general situation. What I learned was eye-opening. According to the supervisor, Marcus has been with the hospital for less than a year and already has a reputation for being inappropriate with female staff members. There have been informal complaints about him, making unwanted advances, and asking personal questions about people's marriages and relationships. The supervisor said that HR has been keeping an eye on Marcus, but that no formal complaints have been filed, so they haven't taken disciplinary action yet. This information suggests that Marcus may indeed be a manipulative person who targets married women. However, it doesn't change the fact that Rachel chose to have an affair instead of talking to me about her concerns. I also asked Rachel to show me exactly what Marcus had told her about my supposed affairs. She said she didn't have written proof because most of their conversations about this topic happened in person. However, Rachel was able to give me some specific details about what Marcus allegedly told her. According to her, Marcus claimed that he'd seen me at a restaurant downtown with a blonde woman, holding hands and acting like a couple. He also allegedly told her that people at his previous hospital, where I've never worked or even visited, were talking about my reputation for cheating on my wife. When I pressed Rachel about why she believed these claims without any evidence, she said that Marcus was very specific about details and seemed to have no reason to lie to her. I pointed out that Marcus had a very obvious reason to lie. He wanted to have an affair with her. Rachel admitted that this made sense in hindsight, but said that she wasn't thinking clearly at the time. I also asked Rachel why she never tried to verify Marcus's claims by checking my phone, following up on my whereabouts, or asking our mutual friends if they'd seen me with other women. Rachel said that she was afraid of what she might find, and that Marcus had told her that confronting cheaters directly usually just led to more sophisticated lying and cover-ups. The more we talked about this, the more I realized that Rachel's story, while possibly containing some elements of truth about Marcus being manipulative, doesn't excuse her choices or explain her behavior. Even if Marcus did lie to her about me, Rachel still made the decision to pursue an affair instead of addressing her concerns in a healthy way. She still chose to lie to me for 3 months about her whereabouts and activities. More importantly, I discovered that Rachel's claim about the affair being revenge for my supposed infidelity doesn't match the timeline of their relationship. When I looked more carefully at the text messages on her phone, I found evidence that Rachel and Marcus were flirting and building an emotional connection for weeks before he allegedly told her about my affairs. The early messages show Rachel complaining to Marcus about feeling unappreciated in our marriage and Marcus responding with compliments about how beautiful and deserving she was. These conversations happened before any mention of my supposed infidelity. When I confronted Rachel about this timeline discrepancy, she initially tried to claim that she was misremembering when Marcus first told her about my alleged cheating. But eventually, she admitted that she had been attracted to Marcus and enjoying his attention before he made any claims about my behavior. Rachel said that Marcus's lies about my infidelity gave her permission to act on feelings she was already having, rather than being the original cause of those feelings. This admission completely changes the narrative. Rachel wasn't an innocent victim who was tricked into an affair. She was already emotionally involved with Marcus and used his lies as justification for physical infidelity. I told Rachel that this new information made me even more angry, not less. She had been lying to me not just about the affair, but about her motivations and level of responsibility. Rachel broke down and said that she was trying to find a way to explain her behavior that wouldn't make me hate her. She said she was ashamed of being attracted to Marcus and thought that portraying herself as a victim of manipulation would be easier for me to forgive. She's now admitting that she made terrible choices and that she can't blame Marcus for decisions that were ultimately hers to make. But honestly, this second layer of lies has made things worse, not better. I now feel like I can't trust anything Rachel tells me about this situation. Update 2 to 1 week later. I've made some difficult decisions about my marriage, and I wanted to update everyone on how this situation has developed. After discovering that Rachel had lied to me about her motivations for the affair, I realized that I was dealing with a pattern of deception that went beyond the original infidelity. Rachel wasn't just unfaithful. She was actively lying to me about the reasons for her unfaithfulness in order to manipulate my response and minimize her responsibility. I told Rachel that I needed complete honesty if there was any chance of saving our marriage. I said that I couldn't work through the affair if she was still lying to me about fundamental aspects of what happened. Rachel promised to be completely truthful and said she understood why I couldn't trust her. She agreed to answer any questions I had about the affair, no matter how difficult or embarrassing. Over the next few days, I asked Rachel to walk me through the entire timeline of her relationship with Marcus from the beginning. What I learned was painful but clarifying. Rachel admitted that she had been attracted to Marcus from almost the first day she started working at the hospital. She said he was charming and confident in a way that made her feel excited in a way she hadn't felt in years. She said that she began looking forward to seeing him at work and started scheduling her breaks and lunch hours to coincide with his. She also admitted to spending extra time on her appearance on days when she knew she'd be working with him. Rachel said that she and Marcus began having personal conversations within a few weeks of her starting the job. These conversations started innocuously but gradually became more intimate, with both of them sharing details about their marriages and personal lives. According to Rachel, Marcus was very skilled at asking the right questions to get her to open up about any dissatisfactions in our marriage. He would ask things like, "Does your husband appreciate how hard you work?" Or, "Does he make you feel as beautiful as you are?" Rachel said that these conversations made her start focusing on small problems in our marriage that she'd never really thought about before. She began feeling like I didn't compliment her enough or show enough interest in her work stories. The emotional affair progressed for about 6 weeks before Marcus made his first suggestion about meeting outside of work. He invited Rachel to join a group of coworkers for drinks after a particularly stressful shift. Rachel said that she knew accepting the invitation was crossing a line, but that she felt like she deserved to have fun and feel appreciated after dealing with what Marcus had convinced her were problems in our marriage. At the group gathering, Marcus made sure to sit next to Rachel and spent most of the evening talking to her exclusively. He complimented her appearance, asked about her interests outside of work, and made her feel like the most interesting person in the room. Rachel said that she felt alive in a way she hadn't felt in years, and that she began comparing Marcus's attention to what she perceived as my lack of interest in her. The group gatherings became a regular thing, but Marcus also began suggesting that he and Rachel meet separately for coffee or lunch. He positioned these meetings as friendship and support during a difficult time in her life. It was during these one-on-one meetings that Marcus began making claims about my supposed infidelity. But Rachel now admits that by this point, she was already emotionally invested in their relationship and was looking for justification to take things further. Rachel said that Marcus's lies about me gave her permission to stop feeling guilty about her emotional affair and to start considering a physical relationship with him. The first physical encounter happened about 10 weeks after Rachel started her new job. Marcus had booked a hotel room and invited Rachel to meet him there, claiming that he had something important to tell her about my alleged cheating. Rachel knew that going to a hotel room wasn't about getting information. She knew what Marcus was suggesting, but she chose to go anyway. After that first encounter, Rachel said the guilt was overwhelming, but that Marcus was very good at convincing her that she deserved happiness and that staying in an unfaithful marriage was worse than having an affair. The physical relationship continued for about 3 months until I discovered the text messages. Throughout this entire timeline, Rachel admits that she could have talked to me at any point about her concerns about our marriage or Marcus's claims about my infidelity. She also admits that she never seriously tried to verify whether Marcus's stories about me were true. Rachel said that she didn't want to confront me because she was afraid that if Marcus was lying, she would have to face the reality that she was having an affair for no good reason. This conversation confirmed what I had suspected. Rachel wasn't a victim of manipulation. She was an active participant in the affair who used Marcus's lies as convenient justification for choices she wanted to make anyway. I told Rachel that I appreciated her honesty, but that learning the full truth had actually made me more certain that our marriage couldn't survive this betrayal. Rachel wasn't just unfaithful. She was willing to believe lies about me rather than have an honest conversation about problems in our marriage. She was also willing to lie to me repeatedly about her motivations when caught. I've contacted a divorce attorney and am moving forward with ending our marriage. Rachel is devastated, but I've explained that trust, once broken this completely, cannot be rebuilt. Final update, 2 weeks later. I'm posting this final update to close out this chapter and let everyone know how things have been resolved. Rachel and I are proceeding with divorce. After several more conversations and an attempt at couples counseling, I've concluded that the level of deception involved in her affair has permanently damaged our relationship. The counselor helped Rachel understand that her pattern of choosing to believe lies rather than communicate with me represented a fundamental breakdown in how she approached our marriage. Even if we could move past the infidelity, the underlying willingness to avoid difficult conversations by seeking validation elsewhere would likely surface again in the future. Rachel has accepted responsibility for her choices and has stopped trying to minimize her role in what happened. She started individual therapy to understand why she was so willing to believe Marcus's lies and why she chose an affair over honest communication. We're working together to create a custody arrangement that's best for our children. Despite everything that's happened, Rachel is a good mother, and I want our kids to have a strong relationship with both parents. The divorce process has been surprisingly amicable. Rachel isn't fighting me on custody or assets, and she's expressed genuine remorse for the impact her choices have had on our family. As for Marcus, I did end up filing a complaint with the hospital's HR department about his pattern of targeting married female employees. I provided them with evidence of his lies about me and his manipulation tactics. I don't know what action they'll take, but at least there's now a formal record of his behavior. I've learned that infidelity is rarely just about the physical betrayal. It's about the dozens of small choices someone makes to prioritize their own desires over their commitment to their spouse. Rachel made those choices repeatedly over months, and then made additional choices to lie about her motivations when caught. For anyone dealing with similar situations, trust your instincts about what you can forgive and what represents a fundamental breach of your values. Some marriages can survive infidelity, but only when both people are completely honest about what happened and why. The manipulation aspect of Rachel's story turned out to be largely irrelevant. Even if Marcus had been more honest about his intentions, Rachel still chose to pursue an emotional and physical relationship with him instead of addressing her concerns about her marriage directly with me. I'm focused now on co-parenting effectively and rebuilding my life. It's not the outcome I wanted, but I'm confident it's the right decision for everyone involved.